Hey guys, I'm back with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video. I have been moving into college and that's why I haven't been posting, but I should go back to a fairly regular once every 2 to 3 day schedule starting from today. For you today, I have a Ritual Beast deck profile that is somewhat of a discussion and a critique on the deck that topped, I believe, the Houston Regional. I think it's an interesting list, but it definitely has some glaring flaws, and I think this deck profile even is fairly flawed. I'm not totally settled on it. I think there's a lot of work to be done as far as establishing a modern Ritual Beast deck, but I think this is a pretty good place to start. Lighting might not be optimal. The setup is new, at least the arrangement I'm using right now, but we'll make it work. So first, of course, 3 Winda. This is one of the greatest gifts given to us by Konami. She counts as both a beast and a tamer, and her effect allows her to be just kind of a pretty good normal summon. If you can't actually do any kind of combos, the second best thing is to just normal summon Winda and set a bunch of traps. For our dedicated tamers, we have 3 Elder, 2 Lara, 1 Wen. Elder because he's great for starting all of your combos. Lara is really great in the middle of the game, and she's just generally better than Zephyr and Pilica in most ways. We are not playing Oracle of Zephyr, so there really isn't any reason to play her. And Wen's also pretty good mid-game, but I find that she's just not really as useful as Lara. Lara often gets searched and used for Commune Falcos, combos, etc. For our beasts, we have 3 Konahawk, 3 Rampengu. These are your key combo pieces. They are what make most of your combos work because they're what actually getting you resources in the Banished Engrave. And we're just playing the 1 Apelio. It's good for getting damage and maintaining your Banished pile, but it's not really good enough to warrant more than 1. And we have, as many people have, cut Petalfin altogether. It's just too situational. We don't really need the name. For hand traps, we are playing 6. Right now I'm playing with the 2-2-2. I've been a pretty big fan of 2 Ash, 2 Ogre, 2 Veiler for a while. I think it diversifies the hand traps in your hand so that if you draw into 2 hand traps, almost always you're getting 2 different ones. But honestly, you can adjust that to whatever you want. Basically just 6 hand traps, whatever fits into your budget and your preferences. Getting into spells, Dimensional Fissure. Obviously a very good card. I think it's underrated as a way to deal with hand traps. Your opponent can't activate any hand traps except Ash if you activate it before you do any of your combos, and it can extend your combo with Rampengu. 1 Monster Reborn, good extender, good recovery. Emergency Teleport, because in a pinch it can throw out a tamer and you can at least get a partial combo. Terraforming and Brain Research Lab, arguably these should just both be Brain Research Labs, but I only have 1. So I've just been playing Terraforming. Either way, this is a really strong card because it allows you to start combos without Elder. Brain Research Lab, Rampengu or Konahawk, and then any tamer, including like Winda, for example, is the Commune Falcos full combo where you're searching Lara, normal summoning her, and then like searching Steeds in ambush. 2 Called by the Grave. So the 7th place at Houston Regional deck profile, the guy was playing 2 Forbidden Chalice, and then he was talking about how maybe playing Permanence or Called by the Grave instead, and he was citing Called by the Grave, and he cited it in every game. Yeah, I've just been playing Called by the Grave in the main 2 of them. It's really strong. It's good both as a way to protect combos, and you can obviously just set it and disrupt your opponent. We're also playing 2 Pot of Desires. We are playing some 1-ofs and such, so it feels kind of painful to banish them. However, Pot of Desires does increase the consistency of the deck overall. This is a 42 card deck, and these are the 41st and 42nd cards. I do like how the math works out on playing the 2 desires on top of 40 cards you're already playing. But you could, cut some cards to make it back to 40. For trap cards, playing 3 steeds. This is one of the reasons this deck is good. It's just searchable, non-target monster destruction. Still playing 2 ambush. He only played 1 ambush. I understand why. It's really easy to brick on this card, and usually you're just searching it anyway. I do find that in a lot of grindier matchups, such as against Sky Strikers and Altergeist, which are fairly common, the second ambush does come up quite a bit. You can cut it for another trap card or something if you like. Oh, something I should mention before I moved away from spells. I'm not playing Scapegoat. He was playing 3 Scapegoat as sort of a plan B, which I respect. There's another Ritual Beast deck profile, or Ritual Beast deck, who's using Wind Witches as a plan B. I appreciate sort of the backup of, if you can't combo, what do you do instead? I really don't think Scapegoat is very good in this deck, however. There's limited extra deck space, it conflicts with Goes and Match. It just doesn't feel like it fits very well. You can go ahead and run it if you want, but I'm personally fairly against it. Speaking of which, 3 Goes and Match. I think this is one of the main reasons to play this deck this format. It is all wind, so I can play Goes and Match as a floodgate. And finally, 3 Torrential Tribute. This card is pretty broken with the fusions because you can tag them out before the entire field blows up. So that's the main deck, 42 cards, including those 2 desires. So yeah, no Scapegoat. Also not maining Macrocosmos. I think it's just so terrible going second that it's not always super worth playing. I think you could cut like the second ambush for it, or you could cut one of the torrentials for it. I personally prefer to side it. I think it's just less versatile than, say, Dimensional Fissure, but it is an auto win in some matchups, so if you really want to, go for it. The extra deck, 1 Ulticon Hawk. Can this please just go to 3, or at least 2? That'd be nice. We'll just leave that there. 2 Ulti Apelio. Sometimes you send 1. There are some games where you don't send it off of Ram Penguin, you just end up making both. That happens. And then the 1 Ulti, Ulti Petalfin. You do occasionally make it. You don't need to play 2 because you're not going to send it off for Rampengu because we're not playing Petalfin. 2 Ulti Guy Pelio. So some people play 3 Ulti Commune Falcos in one of these. I find that I make the second Ulti Guy Pelio more often than I make the third Commune Falcos. So I'm playing 2. And I just feel like sometimes you summon this off Winda and you... sometimes, you'll send the first one off of Rampengu to send a Tamer, and then as kind of your overextension play, like when you're super far ahead in card advantage, actually making this is sort of the play you make. So the second one's just nice to have. So I was saying 2 Ulti Commune Falcos. This card makes this deck playable under Master Rule 4. That's pretty cool. Playing 1 Great Fly. It is the Wind Attribute Generic Link. It's just pretty good for pushing for damage, and it can get back Ulticon Hawk from the graveyard if it got striked, or something such as that. For other links, right now I'm playing Mermaid, Phoenix, Unicorn, and Topologic Shizbania. This is definitely not settled at all. I would say even the Great Fly isn't totally settled. This Shizbania especially could either be a Boral Sword or a Triple Burst. It's probably the one that's most in flux, and honestly I change it all the time. I like this against things like Altergeist and Paleozoics. I think that those are matchups that this deck can really struggle with, but either way, just a solid card. And then Nightmares, Unicorn, and Phoenix are just generic removal. Mermaid gets rid of Ibly and turns Phoenix into a down arrow. Finally, we're playing 2 rank 4s, Lightning Chidori and Abyss Dweller. I think Chidori is still a pretty good card, and it's important because it is wind attribute, so it is removal that you can use under Goes and Match. Abyss Dweller, on the other hand, is an auto win in a lot of matchups. A lot of decks like Goki really struggle to play through this card, or just quite frankly can't. If we're playing Scapegoat, it's cards like these that we'd have to cut, and I really don't want to. So, yeah. I don't think I'm going to go over any side deck, because I think this deck should primarily be played at locals, and your side deck should adjust accordingly. You can play it at regionals. Obviously, someone topped with that at regionals. I think he got pretty lucky, though, with the way he was opening. Even at regional levels, I mean, the meta is going to be changing soon. We're probably getting a ban list soon. Side decks are going to change a lot anyway. Also, sometimes some decks are more popular in certain areas. I don't know. And I'm just not really settled on a side deck right now. I'm changing it all the time. So I'm just not going to give that. Some things to consider are, again, like Macrocosmos if you're not maining it. Floodgates like Anti-Spell and Imperial Order for Sky Strikers. Things like Evenly Matched and Sphere Mode. All those kinds of cards. Spell and trap removal like Twin Twisters and Heavy Storm Duster are also quite good. More hand traps I strongly recommend for when you know you're going second. And then, of course, there's all the other random side deck cards people are playing right now. But those are just some ideas. And so that's it for this deck profile. I think Ritual Beasts are a fun deck. I think they have some potential this format. I think there aren't enough players putting the work into the deck necessary to really find the optimal deck build. So I don't think it's... I think it's definitely in a place where a lot of innovation can happen. So I strongly encourage you to check it out. And with that, I will see you guys, hopefully within the next couple days, in my next video.